afternoon to Minister of State for the Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of National Development, Associate Professor Muhammad Faishal, Ibrahim, Chairman of the Malay Heritage Foundation MHF, Dr. Nur Syaril Saad, Vice Chairman of MHF, Dr. Azhar Ibrahim, and esteemed guests. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and greetings to everyone. Thank you for attending the first CLS session in 2023 and dedicating your time with us this Saturday afternoon. I am Farah Elisha, representing the Malay Heritage Foundation MHF. This marks the 12th session of CLS, so we extend our heartfelt gratitude to those who consistently support and actively participate in CLS. Without further ado, I would like to invite MHF Chairman and Moderator, Dr. Nur Syaril Saad, to open the CLS session. Dr. Nur Syaril, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First and foremost, thank you everyone for being here this afternoon for the first session of the Cendekiawan Lestari series. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome our speaker for this afternoon, MOS, Dr. Muhammad Faishal Ibrahim. Thank you for agreeing to speak this afternoon. So before I introduce our speaker, maybe I would like to just briefly share once again the objectives of the Cendekiawan Lestari series. So this is in fact the first session for the third season of the Cendekiawan Lestari series. So we have had this for over 3 years. And its primary objective was mainly to celebrate our scholars, our thinkers, in the Malay Muslim community, as well as to elevate the discursive space in the community. Of course, in our community, when we talk about the culture and heritage issues, we have other platforms, mainly focusing on the performative, mainly focusing on many other aspects of arts and culture. But at the foundation, I think we want to focus on the discursive and the intellectual space as well. Mainly when we talk about heritage issues, I think for the community, we are all familiar with the tangible cultural heritage. So when we speak about heritage issues, the first things that comes to mind would be artifacts, would be the more things that you can feel, you can touch. And often when we talk about heritage issues, we always have this image that we must always talk about the things of the past. Now, this is something that we want to correct at the Malay Heritage Foundation. Now, I think at the national level, we are also talking about the intangible cultural heritage, right? Something that we can not necessarily touch. Things like poetry, dance, So these are also aspects, values, and these are also aspects of heritage that's often relegated, but it's now being appreciated and being acknowledged at the national level. But there's one other element that we want to do at the Malay Heritage Foundation, which is to also focus on living heritage. Right? It's not only talking about the past, but it's how we can record what's happening today for future generations. And this is the purpose of the Cendekiawan Lestari series. It's very contemporary, very current, and we want to record this. And of course, if you visit our website at the Malay Heritage Foundation, we share the papers, we share the recordings of past lectures, mainly for students, for academics out there, for researchers, or even the general public to use these information and to articulate and discuss them for their own work. Right? So I think this is a very useful and a very important platform, which has not really been focused on by other groups, and this is something that we want to do at Malay Heritage Foundation. Some may ask, how do we select our speakers and the topics? So generally, if you follow Season 1 and Season 2, we tackle many issues and we invite speakers based on their expertise in a way to celebrate scholarship. So we are very privileged to have Professor Yaakob Ibrahim, for instance, to open the first series. We have Mr. Zainul Abidin Rashid to open the second series. So we have community leaders speaking, and this is quite consistent, and hence today we have invited Prof. Faishal to deliver the talk for today. And we also cover other aspects of Malay community issues, mainly language, literature, legal, and many other aspects. And we try to grow this as we move along. So along the list, I don't know whether you have the slides, and this is basically some of the speakers that have spoken at this series, very prominent names, sharing about their research, sharing about some issues that's close to their hearts. So we have very distinguished people like Professor Hadijah Rahmat, Haji Ma'ruf Saleh, Ustaz Manaf, who's here with us today, Dr. Nur Aisha, Mr. Zainul Abidin Rashid, and they have all tackled various issues that they are experts in. CLS has also raised the awareness of Malay heritage and promote its reservations, and we are glad to have received positive feedback, and I would like to take this opportunity to record my sincere thanks to supporters who have come forward, attend our events, donated, and making CLS sustainable, but also do support our other projects such as the Sembang Ilmu series, Sembang Ilmu Plus, and the Hari Warisan and the Hadiah Warisan, for instance. These are some of the other initiatives that we undertake at the Malay Heritage Foundation. So that's basically a snapshot of this Cendekiawan Lestari series. Let me now very quickly introduce our speaker. Actually, there's no need to introduce our speaker. I think we're already very well known. I mean, we know that he's the Minister of State for for Home Affairs and the Minister of State for National Development. So we know that the kinds of work that he does, and of course, the community leadership positions that he holds. But I just maybe want to share two observations that I make about Professor Faishal. Apart from his work as a politician, as a member of the government, two things I observe about MOS. First and foremost, MOS is an active participant and supporter of our discursive events. Sometimes I notice, even though he's not invited as GOH, he will actually sit in these discursive events and listen. This is, to me, a very important observation, because I think I also observe some of the senior politicians who do that normally. As you know, that I'm a political observer, and I work at the Institute of Southeast Asian Studies. And organizing events and talks like this is basically part of my job. And some of the senior politicians in the community also do that from time to time. So they sit and listen to this. And Prof. Faishal, in my observation, is one of those, who very actively engage and always very interested to hear to all these intellectual discussions. The second aspect on why I think he deserves to be given this platform to speak today, he's also an active contributor to the discourse itself. You notice that not many, actually write articles. And I often see Prof. Faishal as one of those leaders who pen his opinions in local newspapers, for instance. And this is, to me, a mark of an intellectual, that you don't only read and sit in the ivory tower, but you also engage the community at that level to share your thoughts with the general public. So these are some of my general observations of Prof. Faishal. And I really look forward to hear your thoughts on the topic that is going to discuss today. We normally do not dictate what speakers are going to say or going to speak, but we do welcome and respect scholars to come and share issues that's very close to their hearts. And I think today Prof is going to talk about an aspect of the Malay Muslim community some of the challenges and maybe some of the ways that we have evolved and tackled over the years. So without further ado, may I take this opportunity to welcome Prof. Faishal Ibrahim on stage to deliver his Cendekia 1 series lecture. Prof, please.
Okay, cuba-cuba dulu so that boleh can work. So firstly, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And firstly, I want to thank MHF, Dr. Nur Sharil for inviting me. Feel very honoured. I feel very honoured. And when I think about the topics that I would like to speak on, I thought that it's something that is close to not only my heart, but also to the community's heart, and something that we feel that we should share with the community at large. And it's not only about the actions that we do, and with this kind of work, it is something that it has the international community's attraction or relevance, because offending, reoffending, and how we can support our friends who are facing this issue as a community, as an international community, is something that is well established. And I'm very fortunate that despite doing the work locally, I also am connected to the international efforts, and that has somehow helped me to really broaden my perspective as to what we are doing and how we are doing. And I think that for many of us who have been in the community work, and especially our senior leaders, the issue of offending, reoffending, drugs, something that we often hear, especially in the 1970s up to now. As such, I thought that it's important for us to come together, and I would like to share with you what's the current situation. So before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the efforts of all my predecessors who are holding position at what I'm holding today. This included arwah Cikgu Harun Ghani, Encik Maidin Packer, Encik Mas Agus Zulkifli, Encik Amrin Amin, and many others, as well as the volunteers and the community who have been working very hard at this front. Without their efforts, their leadership, I don't think we can be where we are today. And for me, I'm just continuing their journey. They have set very strong foundation. They have done very well. And I have been very fortunate to have the chance to continue their good work over the last 3 years. And we hope to be able to continue this work together, regardless of who stands here. Right? Whoever replaces me one day, I think we must support, because this is an area where we want to pursue and do well so that we can provide better lives for people. So thanks to them, and we benefit a lot from their leadership and from their good work. So if you look at the Singapore drug abusers statistics, you realize that there has been a slight drop, right, from the year 2000, right, about 10% drop, right, but something of note, if you see here, right, many of you will remember the Subutex episode, whereby, the government was thinking how we can have a harm reduction approach, right? Today we have the harm prevention, right? Our strong stance, right? No drugs, no compromise on drugs. And during that period, there was this emergence of Subutex, which people thought that we provide them with this so that they can manage the issue of drug abuse. So the numbers went down, right? And this relates to illegal drugs, controlled drugs, right? However, with the introduction of Subutex, the abusers became dependent, right, on, because when they did that, instead of just Subutex, they made a cocktail. Right? When they made a cocktail, it became very harmful, right? And then we had a lot of, many of the abusers of Subutex and the cocktail having to face serious issues. And there were about 50 Subutex associated deaths, right? And so because of some of these deaths, and also we saw, not sure whether you remember, we saw many needles at the staircases, right? And it created a very big concern in the community, and it affects the family. When within the family, you would see there were people who took it, and it affected the society. So as a result of that, we stopped the substitution treatment in August 2006. So with that, right, those who abused, they went back to the controlled drugs, and the numbers have been up and down, and so it is lower than 2000, but the good thing is that the total number of abusers arrested has gone down, right? So the total number of repeated drug abusers arrested is at this number, but still lower than when it started when we had these figures in year 2000. We hope this one will go down further. I hope, but it's not an easy journey. Okay. And we often share the harms of drug abuse, where it's essentially is highly addictive, and there are many serious harms given not only to the individual, families, and the society. And from the medical point of view, it causes irreversible damage to the body and the physical appearance. And you can see that I and some of you, you engage the drug abusers. Some of them will share with you, after I've taken drugs, I'm not the person I used to be. Many of them shared with me that, can you tell my parents I'm not the child that the mom or dad used to know, because I'm a different person. It's difficult to go back to who I was before I took drugs, right? So not so simple as that. And of course, today you see the more commonly taken one will be meth, heroin, and cannabis. And cannabis, I can sense that there has been a liberalization of attitudes, especially to cannabis. Right? People think that it's a soft drug. Essentially, we feel that it's not true, because it can be very highly addictive. You can read the articles, some scientific evidence being provided. It's actually a gateway drugs towards other type of drugs, and also associated with mental and respiratory problem, and linked to impairment in the teenage brain development. So Singapore, our approach is harm prevention. Right? Many countries, they take on harm reduction. Why they take on harm reduction? Because they lost the fight. Recently, I visited one of the countries, and I asked them, what's your concern today? Their concern is to prevent death due to drug overdose. So that means to say they cannot prevent people from taking drugs anymore, or the situation has become so bad and so prevalent. So instead of that, they help to manage to control the intake per day. And while in prison or in rehab, many would follow the dosage that are given, but when they leave, they go beyond what's given. And you see many would end up having an overdose. And in America, during the COVID period, there has been about more than 100,000 drug overdose deaths. Alhamdulillah, in Singapore, we don't have that. Why? One of the key reasons is because of our harm prevention approach, which has proven to be very good for our people. And this is how we protect our people, because we know from other countries, it has been shown to be harmful. And we do it by having tough laws, robust enforcement, and we have the preventive drug education, and as well as rehab, evidence-based rehab and aftercare. Because once you take it, right, the medical professional will tell you it changes the chemical composition of your brain, the way it operates. So it's very different. So very likely you're going to be having this journey, lifelong journey of drug addiction. However, there are instances where it is possible to stay away from drugs by having some of the support system, which I will share with you later. But it is a tough journey, not easy. So the Singapore prison service approach takes on the concept of true care. True care, that means from the time you enter all the way the time when you release, and after the release, there will be not only support, there will also be opportunities for you to get help, for you to journey through together. Right? So this is something that we are continuing developing the ecosystem to strengthen it. And when you are in prison, we already start for someone to be prepared for the reintegration. So during the in-care, we provide psychology-based corrections program, personal development, family program, religious program, work program, employment preparation. You also heard of people go to prison school, right? Education, reintegration program, and befriending program. So, right, it's not only about you are in the cell. Right? In fact, they are busy. Some of them will tell me, "Oh, I leave in the morning. I come back only in the evening." We've got so many different programs, but very targeted, focus on their rehabilitation journey. And we do this via different organizations, right? And we also have community partnership in doing so, right? So we have the Singapore Prison Service, Yellow Ribbon, SG, as well as many other community partnership. So we work with social service agencies, self-help groups, individuals, halfway houses, government agencies, business and corporates, and grassroots organizations. So it's many helping hands. Right? We're all coming together, chipping together to see how we can help our friends and their families. And we also work in partnership with many organizations. Right? We partner with 1,300 volunteers, 40 organizations, and then you also have 5 major faiths. Right? People, volunteers from there working together with us to meet the spiritual needs of aftercare or doing in-care and aftercare. And this aspect is very important. Only in, you see some of the works that we do in rehab and reintegration, religion play a very important role. And the religious organization actively work together with our friends as well as their family. I met some of them in there. They would share with me that they learn a lot when they are inside. Right? Some can read Quran very well, and some you see them. Sometimes the family also feel very inspired by what they are going through, and it's something like yeah. So basically, it's a very good opportunity for them to be supported by the religious scholars, our asatiza, as part of their rehab journey. And we also work with 560 volunteers and 8 organizations for befriending, as well as we also work to support their families. So today, when someone enters the prison, they will do an assessment on your family, who you are, who are your family members, especially those with young kids. They will try their best to quickly take action to support the family. Right? And today, all the family service centers are on board this journey so that we can support the family, which I think is very important. Right? And we are very fortunate. And I think the Singapore Prison Service and Yellow Ribbon is two organizations that I can see work with many partners. And we have been very fortunate and blessed by the support given by the partners. And today you see a lot more efforts in community correction. Right? In the past, most of them spend a lot of time in the prison or in the DRC. But today, right, we believe that we can do a lot more by placing them in the community setting. And we found that when we put them in the community setting, the recidivism rate is better also, because they feel supported, they are able to go back to their families, and they feel that the whole idea of staying free from offending becomes easier, even though the journey is tough. And you see that over the years, more and more of our friends are being placed on community correction. So for the aftercare ecosystem, is something that when they are released, or prior to their release at times, is through the community-based program. So when they are placed on a community under the CBP, we have an ecosystem where one aspect, the Singapore Prison Service also work closely with the stakeholders, such as the halfway house and case management partners. And we also work with the supervisor's family, right, to rekindle the relationship. What happens is this: you see many of them sometimes can be sole breadwinner. right? So they are the sole breadwinner, then they are arrested. So when the moment of arrest, the family get very disoriented because the sole breadwinner is away suddenly. Nevertheless, as human beings, we are very good in adjusting, right? After a while, the family learns to live without the sole breadwinner. And when I speak to the inmates there, they suddenly realize, wow, my family is able to live without me. And they set that lifestyle without that person. So when the person comes out, the person realizes, hey, how am I going to be fitting in? They have learned to live without me. So what we do is that even the sole breadwinner is in, we initiate program support in a way that the relationship still continues. One is by visits, one is by the social service agencies like FITRA will come in and engage the community, the family, and the inmates. And today we have the e-tablets, like iPad, where the family members can write to the inmates. This built that connection, and I think that has helped. So we want to reduce the feeling of kekok. Because sometimes they go out, they feel kekok. Dah macam tak biasa. Right? So we want to reduce the impact so that they can get back together easily. Right? Alhamdulillah, I think with all this technological development, the support of the organizations, community organizations, we are able to do that. And another support system is the Yellow Ribbon SG, where we provide jobs for the inmates right, when they release. So we provide career coaches as well, so that they are able to find jobs. And community plays an important role in this. So it's not so simple, right? To work, to coordinate all this takes a lot of effort. But I am very inspired. All of them are very, very empowered, these 4 groups. Because our intention is to help, to make life better. And we also have Yellow Ribbon SG, right, which advocates for second chances, beyond second chances, and enhancing employability. So, I'm not sure whether you are familiar. Do you know that there are 8 job vacancies available for 1 inmate? Right. Last time we used to hear, kasih dia kerja, right? Tak ada kerja. So sekarang kita ada 8 pekerjaan for 1 inmate. And okay, you may say that these jobs are all low type, but I am happy to share we are doing our best to increase or improve the level of jobs. Today, right, they're not only doing the culinary type, they are doing media, they are doing engineering, right, and logistic. So I am very, very happy that things are moving on. And we are also thinking how to improve their salary scale, right? And I'm happy to share that we have committed people who are part of the board of Yellow Ribbon SG to see how we can do this. And in Singapore, we're also very fortunate. There are more than 7,000 partners looking at all these opportunities. I know a neighboring country which may be bigger than us, right? And the number of the partners, the companies that come on board, compared to some of the neighboring countries, we have a lot more. So kudos to the Singapore community and the companies for providing the platform, which says something good about the society. That's why we are fortunate. And our friends are very, very appreciative of this. Right? And I think it's important for us to continue this journey. And this is something that we do, Yellow Ribbon Project, right? To enhance acceptance, awareness about beyond second chances. And many countries are learning from us. Some of them say, what is Yellow Ribbon? Some of them was, in some of their countries, when they are released, they go back to where they were. Go back to their friends. But for Singapore, we try to provide them with a pro-social group. Yeah. And we also have the CARE network, where we work closely with some of the providers, some NGO, some social service agencies, as well as agencies, to provide the support, right? So that, you see, it takes the whole community to support the inmates and their family. Not easy, not so simple, but alhamdulillah, we set up the system really to provide that support. And I want to share that all this, if you ask the service provider, they will tell you, tough work, but worthwhile. They will tell you it's worthwhile. Right? Whenever I go and visit some of these organizations, I go back feeling inspired. I ask myself, where they get the energy, where they get all this source of motivation. They will tell me it's the cause. And they will tell me this, that if you see the impact, how to stop? How to stop? And it's the journey that they say, never mind, sometimes they fall. But with us, they will get up again and do better, right? So I come back from this visit also feeling inspired. Very difficult to say no, and your heart just opens up, keep on opening up to do more. So we have been looking at this issue, we have been trying to enhance our support, and from MHA angle, we have been very fortunate to have all these partners. So over the last decades or so, many decades, you realize that the number of partners have gone up. The ecosystem gets strengthened. And then you also see the community, in particular the Malay community also, feel this is something that we must do more, right? So all this very positive narrative really drive not only the community, but Singapore as a whole. So with all these things, I think our efforts have borne good fruits. Right? You see the 2-year receipt rate. In year 2000, it was 40%. Right? Then today is 20.4%. So this includes the drug and non-drug also. If you see this, right? Because different country got different treatment of their receipt rate. This is the best in the world. But not easy to bring from here to here. Very difficult. Alhamdulillah, we have achieved it. Right? But it's all due to the hard work, starting from our predecessors. Right? They have worked very hard. Right? And so we continue the journey to make it better. But here, because sometimes you low, it gets harder to bring it lower. But we will persevere. And for Malay, alhamdulillah, Malay rate from close to 50%, right? It's gone down here. So it's been an amazing journey for us. And if you look at it, for last year, the 2-year rate, so while the overall went up, the Malay community one continued to go down. which is good lah. Eh? But usually this thing, it will fluctuate. Right? But we want to do our best. Nevertheless, the proportion of Malays still high, 47%. Stable, but if you look back at the years before, it has gone down, but not significant yet. So we need to do a lot more. As such, we have culturally nuanced programs. That's why you see efforts like Dada Itu Haram, right? We have Fitra, we have the MMO network. All this is where we bring people together to support. So we started with M-Cube, right? With M-Cube, where I lead the focus area 2, supporting the vulnerable groups, right? In particular, those relating to inmates and their families. And we feel that the MQ platform has helped us to get all of us to work together. And I think it has helped us to really bring people from different segments of the society together to contribute to this cause. And this culturally nuance is very important because we look at the holistic part of it. In some countries, you realize that they only focus on some aspects. But for Singapore, we are very fortunate. We not only look at the in-care, after-care, we also look at the preventive part of it. Right? Because majority of the cases in prison are due to drug. So we have the Dada Itu Haram. Right? We makes it very complete part. So as I said, Dada Itu Haram is upstream. Then we have the in-care provided by Fitra, as well as we have the MMO network that we set up. So today, I'm very happy to share with you, we have this version for the MM community. And it is being led by the MM community. So I feel very teruja, right? Because, and this is something that is own, empowerment of the community, right? So in the past, maybe we had this part, and this part may have, but might not have been so strong, yeah? But the best addition is this one, the MMO Rehabilitation Network. This is something that brings all of us together. Yeah. So these are some of the upstream effort that we do. For example, the in particular Dada Itu Haram campaign. This is something that I inherited when I joined MHA, and I feel very inspired by the support of the community. I like to go on the ground, essentially, and we have been to many places like coffee shops, the mosques, places of where people congregate, right? Various places. From the day I started until now, I've never had anyone telling me, don't waste your time. Everybody who we have touched say, thank you for doing this. Because they know that it's something that we need to protect our people, right? And we not only, it's not an MHA-driven work, we work with various communities like Muhammadiyah, right? We work with the mosque. Right? I would visit at least one mosque per Friday, per month. Last week I was at Masjid Sultan to do our outreach, to share with the congregants. And we also hold dialogues at the mosque, at other places where not only the mosque, other areas, and with the youth group, right, so that we can help to share the words, message about Dadai to Haram. So we had cycling events, very, I would say, inspiring, because parents would come with their children to join the activities and talk. And this is what we want, because it all starts at home. And I'm happy to share that I think about 2 years ago, all the mosques opened their doors to share the message of Dadai to Haram. So it's and if you go to any mosque today, you will see that banner, right? And they want to play a part in this. And we also have in-care and aftercare efforts. In-care is when Fitra, I think a few of the members of Fitra are here, where Fitra conducts weekly programs for our inmates. And these weekly value-centric and structured programs, these are religious programs, customized to the inmates. And the Friday prayer sermon is also customized. And then Friday prayers is not only they listen to khutbah, right? The week after the Friday prayer, they will discuss the intifadi of the khutbah. Yeah, so that means they will reflect and they will talk about it to reflect to how they can improve themselves, right? So it's very, very purposeful, right? And also we have the Asatiza coming in for many decades. Last week I met Ustazah. I've been there for many decades. Ustazah have a very good relationship with the inmates, and they really bother to listen and be inspired by Ustazah. And some of the Asatiza are very good. What they do is they will have support group outside. So for those who have left or released, they still come back to get supported. Kita beruntung. We are lucky to have all these Asatiza and the befrienders who have the heart to go beyond that extra that mile that they have put forth, or people expect them to put. So I think we are very fortunate. And with Fitra, we are able to do a lot more. Right? Fitra also provide befriending and case management. And this is not only for the inmates, it's also for their families. So Fitra has a program have benefited more than 300 families. And also, they also work, this is something significant, they work and they get the support from all the 71 mosques in providing support to the inmates and their families. Because we have 71 mosques. My first few months when I went to visit inmates, they shared with me, sometimes they feel down, they feel depressed, they didn't know where to go. So Alhamdulillah, after that I worked together with my colleagues and Muiz and the mosque. They saw the need, and then they decided that they open all the doors to any inmate. So when I go to meet them now, I say, you got no reason not to get supported. Now all the mosques in Singapore, 71 mosques, and they are located all over Singapore. Wherever you are, there will be a mosque nearby your place. So when you feel down, thinking about going back, you can go back to Sana, you can go back to East Coast, wherever, but you still feel you cannot find any place, the mosque is there. Yeah, so we are very happy with the support given by Muiz. And we arranged a session where we for the mosque leadership to visit the prison. And I can tell you this, what I saw was amazing. The inmates were shared with us, we never knew people care for us. Now I feel people care for me. I feel supported. I feel that what I'm carrying, I'm able to carry it better. For the mosque personnel, they feel inspired wanting to do more. So it's a nice development. We arrange for all the mosques to come and visit. For my prison officers, they feel so happy because they say, wow, at least we got many more partners now who can journey through with us. So I really, really want to thank MUIS, all the mosques, as well as Fitra, for really making this effort. And when I first came to MHA, so I realized there are many organizations, MMOs, which are doing MHA-related work. However, I realized that they may not know each other as well with these regards of work. So I discussed with them, together with my colleagues, and say, hey, let's create a Malay Muslim organization rehab network where we can do a lot of things better. So this was our one of the first few events we organized, and this is where we had a session together. Then, Alhamdulillah, we have been able to set up this network with all the partners, together with MQ. And from there, we started small, then we developed into, we have seminars, we have learning journey, and joint outreach events. And so far, we have made into good progress in terms of new partnership, capability building, and event collaboration. This is somewhere I saw very significant gelling. Satu hati. And mat tu sama, but different areas of work. So, very well connected now. And we just had a forum recently, and and the forum itself was co-organized by MHA and the MMOs. So we came together to chart the direction of the network. And we had a work plan where we want to collaborate for success, connect partners, and build capability. So, for this, I want to share the story or journey. We started very small, but because the MMOs, they felt, or rather they feel connected to the cause, and they share the belief that they can do better. So all these efforts that help us to collaborate, to connect and build capability become easier. And today, we see MMOs working together for a program. We see MMOs sharing data together. We see MMOs visiting one another on their own to help inmates and family. So it's to me, it's about strengthening the community of support, right, to help one another. Who benefits? Not only our inmates and their family, I think our community also feel connected with this cause together. So we share the journey together. So our efforts have shown progress, right? For example, the receipt rate has gone down. the number of new Malay drug abusers also have gone down. From here, it went up again, then went down recently. And the Malay now do not form the biggest proportion in prison. In the past, we used to be the biggest. The past decades, for many years, we used to be the highest. But the last 2 years, we gone down. Good sign, but it's tough work. Right? So the thing is, we must continue this journey. So I thought this is a nice platform to share with you what we have done, and it all goes back to our predecessors, the work that they have done, and we are just continuing their good work. Right? It's a collective effort. It's a journey that we have been through together, and we have been concerned about this. So it's important for us to ensure that we know the real situation, we are able to navigate this together. So we need to do more. One key area is the 5-year receipt rate. I hope we can do a lot more this part, so that they can stay out longer, they can stay with their families, they can also do a lot more other things that they like to do. So we have done well in the 2 year, but I think there's a lot more we can do for the 5 year. And we are still overrepresented. Essentially, government cannot do it alone, and we need the community support. But I must say, community support has been awesome. Right? We want to continue to deepen our journey together. So I want to invite you to join all our efforts in this part of our work to further deepen and expand the MMO network and Dadai to Haram campaign. I hope you will support our events and activities in your own way, right? And also organizing programs and activities to support our inmates and their families. And most basic thing, you know, you are busy, even you are busy, you got no time, you have your own way activities. At home, speak to your family. Speak to your children. For those of you my age and beyond, speak to our grandchildren. I haven't got grandchildren yet. I mean, some of my friends already got grandchildren, right? So essentially, speak to our young ones. Start early. Sometimes when I meet them, inmates in there, they said, Prof, go and tell the people out there, speak to your kids young. Don't speak when they are already teenagers or they are into this whole process. They may not be able to listen well. So start young, so that they are sensitized to this whole thing. And also help to contribute. When you contribute, you will learn more and you will stay away from offending and re-offending. So I sincerely want to really, really thank you for spending about an hour listening to me. I thought it's good to share some of the insights. Not easy work. Recently, I went to the US to share about what we do, in particular, the MM community. And a few of my colleagues did 2 presentations to share about what we do from a secular perspective. After the presentation, many people came and approached me to learn, and some of the comments we received during the Q&A is that they congratulate Singapore for achieving this. Some of them said, what you have or what you have achieved today are our ideals. And in particular, some of them shared what we have, that means support from the MMO and the community, is something that they can never have it in their country. So the whole idea, it speaks well about how we as a community have come forward together to help our friends and families, to help to support the development of the community. So looking forward, we feel very humbled and honored for you to join hands with us to help in this area. And we hope that together we can continue this journey and help our friends and families, as well as our community, to have better lives, options in their lives. So thank you for listening to me, and I avail myself later for the Q&A if you have any. Thank you.